I think we're all Bannock experts, and for me, I just think I tweaked it a little bit more and made it so it's so fluffy on the inside and crispy on the outside, and I've built up a big enough name around the Yukon that a lot of people really enjoy my Bannock. So, and as Indigenous people, we all pretty well have grown up with Bannock. That's kind of our staple in life. So I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I like to experiment with Bannock. Now that we're getting it done in the manufacturing companies, they're learning how to be an expert, I guess.
Well, now you're on track, because you mentioned the next question I wanted to ask you. Trying new flavors. So what is that like, bringing a very traditional food and exploring what the bigger picture could be with it?
Well, exploring, I think we just really try to do different things, and in everybody's household they try to do different techniques of food and flavors and stuff like that. And I guess when I did a little course a couple years ago, and they were teaching us different catering, First Nation Indigenous foods and caterings and stuff like that. So that's where I started getting more ideas of, hey, we should try it like this, because you also have to think the shelf life in the stores, and how long is this product going to last if you have cranberries in it, or if you have something else. And so the manufacturing companies really helped me with that. So we're looking at a couple more flavors coming out soon, and we're going to probably just hold it off there for a little while and see how things go.
Can we get a taste of what the new flavors are going to be?
They will be coming out, but we don't know when yet. So
okay, so it sounds like it's top secret.
It's top secret for now.
Okay, well, you heard it here first, folks. Top secret, coming soon. We don't know what it is, though.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, on the note of top secret, there's no like secret ingredient to the Bannock that you make, because it's pretty good.
No, there's 1,000 ways to make Bannock, and just different techniques. Every First Nation has different ways of making it too, like in different communities. So
what makes your Bannock different?
I have no idea. Mine is it's just a Bannock, it's a Bannock, and it's just made. It's a Teslin Tlingit style Bannock. So Teslin has a different style than most of the rest of the Yukon.
How so?
So theirs is kind of a deep fried.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's why it's so crispy.
So it's different. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And then going from hot Bannock, so from the back of your truck, serving hot Bannock, like today we got to enjoy a bit.
Yeah.
And then going from bagged, what gave you the idea of, okay, I think people might want to actually make this in their homes?
I think it was a lot of my friends, family that really enjoy the Bannock, and and decided let's try to put it in the store somehow. So that was a lot of work to really consider putting it into the stores for people, because there's a lot of acts and regulations, food inspections, and we have to have an approved kitchen to do this and do that, and so but people were buying them, and I thought, this is really good. And then COVID hit. We had to do a little bit of a pivot, a big pivot on how we were going to get Bannock out there. So that's how we decided to start working with the manufacturing company, and getting Mammoth involved to start helping us market and stuff, and getting grants. The government gave us a grant, and so we got a few grants that really helped us out. I don't know if I could have did it without these grants. So kudos to the people that gave grants to us. So.
Yeah, well, you were ready for that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the work ahead.
Yeah.
That makes you ready for that. When you went from catering, right, so you're serving hot foods, then you went to manufacturing. That must have been a huge shift in the way that you did your day-to-day. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, with catering, that got all shut down because of the COVID. And so now, then we did our pivot, and we got into doing the Bannock bags and going to the manufacturing. And I really like it, because now I'm not sitting up making the bags and not renting kitchens, and so it's really nice to having them come and ship to me and being able to take it out. And I guess
you may not be the one who's actually packing the bags, but I know that you oversee everything still to this day, right?
Yeah, I still oversee making sure that the texture is right, that it's coming out to what we are, and that was a lot of different things going back from the Canada Smart Kitchen into the manufacturing and coming back and forth and samples and trying them out and making sure that they are.
So was there a time when the samples came and they weren't right? What'd you do?
Oh yeah, there was a couple of times that they came, and it was really interesting because I would go to my kitchen and say, what's going on here? I'd pour the sample back into a bowl and it was just not mixing properly, and I would do my ingredients according to what I usually do, and it would come out the same. It just wasn't different, so we had to figure out why it wasn't going properly to the ingredients, and then we found out that with the manufacturing company that they do a big commercial sifter, so the flour comes out really different and it's really fine, so the water was just too much for that, so we had to up the flour and stuff like that. So that I can
only imagine that call. You're calling them up, hey, this isn't working properly, and they're saying, oh, we'll use all the same stuff that you're telling us to. And so how did you figure out it was a sifter that was a problem? Did you yourself have to figure that out, or was there someone else?
No, the company, because I was asking her, how come the flour is so much different? And then she's like, well, we do a sifter. And I was like, that's probably what's causing it to be so light. Like I could feel the flour was really different too. So I had to go. That was a big process. I think it must have took us about 4 months at least, to back and forth of trying to get everything done. We've been at it with the new bags since about April of 2020. So and now we're going to be on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca, and we're so cool. Yeah, in the States, it's going to be down there. We've got a company down there that's going to be doing some fulfillment. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Honestly, round of applause for that. I'm just so excited for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
By the time we're just finished, then I'll be just, here you guys, I'll be giving it to my family and saying, this is what
Christmas
you gotta do.
For everyone. You get Bannock, you get Bannock.
Yeah.
Awesome. But you were telling me too, the brown bags, right? That was the first iteration of the manufactured product, right? You were doing that yourself, right?
I was packing my own bags, and we had to, and I was just kind of catering around to the Yukon for those ones, and it was quite simple for me, but it's a lot of work as well. You got to put a lot of hours into it. You have to order your bags and your labels and get them printed and put the labels on, and rent a approved kitchen, so you can we can bag our bags up in there, and so it was.
Yeah, it sounds like you had to figure out things step by step as it came at you. Yeah. And what is the best way to eat Bannock? I feel like I can't leave this conversation without knowing what is the best way.
I think the best way is just making sure you have margarine and jam on there. And there's so many ways you can eat Bannock.
So margarine, not butter.
Yeah.
Not to use butter.
Well, you can use. Depends on the person and their taste. If they like butter.
Teresa, I need a straight answer. What is the best way?
I do margarine.
Okay, margarine. Awesome.
The best way to cook, the best Bannock I've ever eaten was cooked in moose kidney grease.
Moose kidney grease.
And that came out the best, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could get that one in stores.
Yeah. Go get me a moose one.
That'll be the next project.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the things that you had to learn step by step, the next topic is balance.
Yeah.
So is there a part of you that feels like you had to give up some stuff in order to be able to run the business as quickly and expand as fast as you have?
Give up a lot of free time, especially when you're working and then you're trying to raise children. But my kids were, when I started the Bannock in the stores, they were quite older, so I was able to do that. And my children helped me quite a bit bag, and they would come and do the sealing and putting labels on and stuff like that. So trying to find a balance. I don't know, my sister-in-law said, if it's not crazy, it's not you, Teresa. So I don't know if that's part of the balance, but I had to actually look for a job that was only part-time now, so that I can look after the business a little bit more and put into it a little bit more. Now that it's getting a little bit bigger, my team is starting to wean me off, I guess, and showing me how to look after ordering my own from the manufacturing company, and how to start doing those little jobs. So maybe I'll have to start working 1 day a week to look after the business.
So you're still working part-time while building a business that will be soon on Amazon.
Yes.
I got that right.
Yes, you got that right.
So my question about balance, there's just no balance?
There's not really, it's just go with the flow, I think, for myself. I can't really find, I don't know. I know part of my balance during the day is like closing my bedroom door and saying, nobody bother me for 1 hour. So I won't try not to take phone calls or anything. And then after 1 hour break, I get my computer out and start working on stuff. So,
Are there things that you've learned so far that you never thought you would learn throughout your journey?
I've learned so much so far that I didn't think I'd ever get this far. I didn't think I'd ever have a manufacturing company. I didn't think I'd ever have a great team that supports me, and our teams. I've got so many supporters that helped me along the way. Teaching, learning from the boot camp that Yukon offered, that was a bonus for me too. So taught me a lot of different ways to explore my business. And so that was a big journey, learning acronyms, learning different things.
Oh my God, acronyms are the worst!
But yeah, so I think the manufacturing company, the labeling, now I'm going to learn a little bit more about the company that is doing the printing of the bags, how to make sure that, because we've got bags that go into the States, there's different way of Canada bags and United States bags. So Canada has French.
That. Can you tell that one?
The French?
Yeah.
Oh, and is that the story when my son's like, Mom, there's a mistake, I think, because there's French on this bag and there's no French on that bag, and I'm like, oh my goodness, now are we gonna have to go back into?
Well, how much was that, like, to buy the bags, right? It's expensive, you have to pay up front.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, do you remember how much it would have cost?
When I called my man Matt at Mammoth Consulting, who works with me, he said, Teresa, one's for the States, one's for Canada. The Canada one has French, so I didn't realize that either. So it's like, oh, okay. I was just like, phew. Oh man, did we make a mistake? And we're going to do something over again? Yeah, so going into the States is going to be very interesting, and how they're going to sell it on Amazon, or how are we going to get it to different places, because we're talking about casinos and stuff like that.
Casinos.
And it's a bag. The bag is waterproof, so it's really good for putting in the mail. You can take it hiking and hunting, fishing and trapping. So the outdoor people can use those really good too.
So there's a lot of thoughtfulness behind the bag. Do you want to talk to me about the design? I have my own bag. It's not for anyone else. For me, I bought it. So
this is the bag that we've come up with Mammoth Consulting in them, that did all the artwork except the logos. My nephew Josh Ward did the logo. So these were really interesting. Just having the nutritional facts table, you have to have everything perfect, just the way they want it. And we have the ingredients and distributed by who, our addresses. Yeah, so directions, how to do it. And we got the trademark on it now.
And your photo, you got your photo on there too.
Yeah.
There's
Grandma.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see that, so those are the stickers, right, that you added on the top. Do you want to talk to, because we mentioned a bit like the sifting, right, the flour.
Yeah.
So what was the solution to solving that problem?
Oh, so we had to up the flour, and because the bags were already printed, we just had to put a little little thing on the bag because the bags were already printed with the previous weight, but because we had to adjust the flour to make it work with the right amount of water, so they just put new stickers over the top. Won't be for long though.
Yeah, I never would have noticed until now I hear the story now.
Yeah.
Very cool to hear the background of a product coming together and all the little pieces, the little thoughts that go into it. It's really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, of creating something from scratch, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who are new, who are hungry, who want to create something for themselves?
I'm thinking that you guys stick to it, try to commit to it, keep on going forward, come to the Yukon boot camp, any other training you can do. I do a lot of Zoom not meetings, but courses or little training workshops, talking about going into the States, of how do you do this? And so anything that links to your business, take that up and get going on that. So I'm not finished training. I'm also going to be going to Entrepreneur North. So I'll be on that it's a 9-month course that will help me with budgets and financials and different things. So it's always a learning. Just got to keep at it, and only you can do it so much you want to put into it.
That's really good advice. I got shivers. I don't know about you, especially when you mentioned the boot camps that we have here.
Yeah. And when we did our boot camp, we did one class, and then COVID hit. The rest was all on Zoom.
Oh no.
So yeah, it was really interesting.
So now the best part, I think, of this conversation, for me at least, is building legacy. With a name for a business like Grandma Treesaw, it's not only you, but it's also thinking about the family and the people that you have in your life, like just from that name.
Yeah.
So where does the name Grandma Treesaw come from?
Well, I am a grandma. I'm 8, 1 on the way. And when I was growing up in Carcross, my uncles and them always called me Tree. Come here, Tree. Let's go for a ride in the horse, Tree. So I was always known as Tree. And then as I started getting older, people just started calling me Treesaw. So I decided to name it Teresa, Grandma Teresa's Bannock, so I'm quite well known for Grandma Teresa. I go to a lot of places and they're, Grandma! Yeah. I'm everybody's grandma now, I guess.
Yeah. And so my grandma doesn't use recipes for anything. This one time I had to make an entire video just filming her making this soup. That is special delicacy, I guess, from where she's from, because she doesn't keep recipes for anything. So I can only imagine if you've been making Bannock your entire life, coming up with like the specific amounts for each of these, the flour, the everything else that's in there. Yeah. It's been a challenge.
Oh yeah,
was it?
Yeah, it was a really big challenge because, like you say, we just grew up and just threw in the ingredients and it came out, and then when we started going into the stores, it was weighing everything. You have, learning the measuring cups. One's a dry, one's a liquid, and weight. Weight was really big, especially going into the manufacturer. They needed to know the weight, and we would say 3 cups. But what is 3 cups to their cups? So we had to get a weigh scale and start weighing every little ingredient and sending it down to the manufacturing so that they can get it right. And that was like stickers all over the place. Okay, here's 1 gram and 5 grams and 450 grams, and it was like really interesting.
And when you're figuring out the difficult parts of things that you never thought you'd be doing for your business, what keeps you going? What keeps you from going, what, I think I've had enough. I think I'm just gonna make Bannock for me and my family, no one else's grandma,
I think what kept me going is I know I had to do a reporting to the federal government. I had to do a report on that, and there's a lot of times I was like, I'm losing my fire for this. It's just so much work, and then you got to do a report, Teresa. I
love that.
And then my team were always, every time I start feeling, Matt would be calling me and talking to me, and it's like, You're just like a prenatal support person. You tell me breathe because he's always telling me just breathe, Teresa, just breathe. So he helped me along a lot of times too. You know, there is the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm starting to see the light now. Yeah. So we've had our bags up in the Yukon since June, and we're the only ones that's selling right now in the Yukon. So, and they're all gone. So we get to make a new order.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Well, that was definitely not the answer I was expecting. Yeah. So I was expecting for family, for this and that. So now I have to ask, what does it mean to know that you're building a business for personal legacy for your family to come into?
Well, I'm just hoping that it goes a long way, you know, because we struggled so much growing up, you know, and if I can make a little ease with my family and my grandchildren to lighten their load a little bit and making sure that they go to school. I can't get nothing unless they go to school, so that they can carry on the business. And I know some of my grandkids, you know, they really like coming to the concession stands with me and teaching them how to be happy and smiling all the time and talking to the customers and having their little calculator, so you have to do the math. And so yeah,
well, because selling stuff, right? Running a business is not really about the budget. I mean, yeah, it's important. Yeah. Don't catch me on camera saying that. Yeah. But it's also about the relationships you build, right?
Yeah. You have to say that last part again.
Business, I think we agree with this, that business is not only about the budgets and the spreadsheets, it's often about relationships. It's about the people that we're selling to or we're working with or partnering with. Yeah, totally.
And just doing this, I really watch myself when I go into restaurants and how they look after their people when they're coming in, what do they do. You know, I always look at picking up tips. I watch bar rescue lots for different tips on cleanliness and you know, the anything I can do to make sure that I'm treating you with respect and my product with respect and making sure that I'm handing it to you with knowing that there's love in there and it's not going to hurt you, you know. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, because you were telling me about the actual product itself, like the Bannock itself, is good food. Good food. There's no sugar, right?
Yeah, there's not very much sugar in there. So yeah, 1 teaspoon of sugar.
But having it in the grocery store as something that people can pick up, what does it mean to be one of the first, or if not the first, Indigenous product in our grocery stores?
Never really thought of myself as being the first person, but now after doing a lot of research with marketing and stuff like that, we know that we are kind of the first ones in the Yukon being able to get it into the stores, you know. And I just want more people to get the cultural stuff in the stores. You know, we've got a lot of different people that can cook different ways, so we've got a lot of First Nations that are in crafts and arts and stuff like that, and they're making their trail. But our Indigenous foods are still got a long way to go.
Why do you think that is? Like, why? What are some of the barriers that are holding up Indigenous foods from being in our markets?
I'm not too sure about what their barriers are, and I think that the more they learn, like learning about the different resources, you know, having a one-stop shop on web page too would be really great for us to say, okay, well, we need to get these permits, this and this and that, and where do you go, and so we're not going all over the place looking for this.
Well, Bannock being just one of the traditional foods, I'm thinking of something like moose stew, right? You can't go out and buy some moose usually. No. It has to be, if it's hunted especially, right? There's restrictions around.
Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions. You can't even get it in the store, but you can get an elk. You know, so it's just the regulations, I guess, and it would be nice that one of these days, well, maybe not nice either, because I'd hate to see the moose get really exposed to, so it's got its pros and cons on that, I guess.
Obviously, yeah, very weighted issue. But Does it weigh on you being the first? Like, what does it feel like?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know, yay, we're blazing the trail. You know. Maybe there'll be more people. Maybe my niece will get out there and start doing stuff and getting stuff to the stores. You know, I'm excited, and I'm sure my team and them are all excited.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to share my stories with other people in the Yukon and having the media here to put that out there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I'm going to ask one last question and open up to the floor to people online if they have any questions. But for you, what is the vision that you want to accomplish with Yukon Bannock?
I got so many visions. There's so many visions. So we're going to have probably 4 flavors in the bag. And then we're also discussing, because our guy in Seattle is saying another neat idea would be having Bannock, fresh Bannock made, and then we'll freeze it really quick so that you can just go to the store, take out some apple fritter Bannock out of the freezer and zap it for 15 seconds, and then you'll have those things. So those are one of the dreams too. Having a little restaurant, so I have a little bistro. So those are some of my visions, and some of my visions are making sure that my family are involved in it, and that they start learning how to take over too. So, yeah.
Can't wait to see it happen.
Yeah, there's lots of visions in my head. Food truck.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, now, if anyone has questions, lift your hand. Don't be shy.
I just want to acknowledge our acting chief, Kwalindun.
Oh,
and Kwalindun is my First Nation, and they were the ones that started funding me through going to the boot camp and stuff like that. So I'm really honored to have our acting chief come here and support me, and knowing that she's got more people out there that are going to do some business.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, over here.
Well, I mean, there's a million things that I think about, but when you talked about this being as a product for people camping and stuff, I wonder, is the bag specific?
I can't see you. And can you just speak up? I am a grandma. I use a hearing aid and I don't have it on me. Sorry.
I'm not a grandma, but I definitely need some help hearing and seeing and all of that. Anyway, I'm just curious, when you talked about that this is a great product for people camping and hunting, is there any intention with the way that the bag is designed that you could just dump the right amount of water in there, seal it up and mix it in the bag?
That's what we're working on too.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
we already thought about that and putting a line on there, and I've already tried it and it works. So.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I think there's so many great applications, and certainly I've tasted your Bannock a number of times at public events and think that everybody should just have more Bannock.
Awesome, great question. Yeah. Who else has got a question? Yeah, Lance.
I want to know what's the secret is. The next product that you're going to put out.
It should be out soon, but we can't release it yet because we got to make sure that it's workable, and we can make sure that we can work with it, and the cost of making the product, and so. And if that doesn't work, we'll try different flavors to make sure that one works. So, got it.
Yeah.
Once you reach a certain level of product sales and revenue generation, are we going to see you pitching to Dragon's Den?
A lot of people ask me about Dragon's Den, and I like Dragon's Den and I don't like Dragon's Den because I watch it. But Dragon's Den, it's always hard for me because I don't know if they're going to take 45% off, because when people are going there, and for 45% we will give you this much money, and so I think before I go to Dragon's Den, I probably would want to make sure that it's equitable for me to do that. So.
Awesome, great question. Yeah, over here.
Have you given any consideration to establishing a young female Indigenous entrepreneur program that you can lead to show other young Indigenous women what they can do?
Not yet. Somebody probably have to kick me in the butt, say, Teresa, you might be a good person. Let me get this going first.
You mentioned the best Bannock you ever tasted had some kind of oil. What was that oil that you used?
You can use canola oil, vegetable. The only one that you shouldn't use is virgin, what's that, virgin oil, olive oil.
But you mentioned that you had some kind of indigenous or some kind of animal oil.
Oh, moose kidney grease.
So do you think you might want to manufacture that next?
We can't even get moose stew in the store. It would be awesome, but yeah.
Got some questions over here.
Teresa, I'm wondering, because it is such a big jump, and you touched on it a little bit, but to go from by hand, making the bags that you're selling to manufacturing, I'm wondering what were your greatest fears, or did you have any? How did that experience feel? Were there a lot of things that you felt fearful or nervous about, or were you just like, yes?
I was kind of fearful of the product not coming back the way it should be. And, I've talked to a couple of other people that own businesses, and they said, always open a package up every now and then and just make it to make sure that it's actually the right product, because sometimes manufacturers might have a little air pocket and too much salt. It goes into one thing or something. He said, just to make sure that that's happening. So the fear of letting go to the manufacturer just for those reasons. And then I really liked it going to the manufacturer because I'm like, I'm not going to get carpal tunnel because of the stirring, because the food inspector, they were telling me that one time that make sure that when you get your employees that you train them on all the equipment. And I was like, well, it's just a bowl and a spoon. So, it was kind of funny. They had a laugh too. So, but yeah, so it's really nice to have a manufacturing being able to do this. And once it starts going big, we might need that manufacturing company readily available to start producing the bags. So, yeah.
Really awesome. Any more questions? We have time for maybe one more. Yes.
I have a question. I mean, it's just amazing to sit here and listen to your story, how you get from the one-person show making it all to be on Amazon and your personal growth and skill development in all that. And I'm curious, what was your biggest challenge in all of this?
Biggest challenge was partly COVID, but moving forward, because I don't know a lot of the things, so my team at Mammoth Consulting, they were really the ones that really steered me and taught me and showed me different things, and they're still teaching me, so because I'm not really keen in the business world, so the acronyms again, I'd be phoning Paige up all the time, and what does B2B sound, and all the different little acronyms. So, yeah, that was some of the hard parts for me. But having a really great team behind you, we've got another person in Seattle from Trajectory who's working really diligently, and he's so good in getting stuff out and giving us knowledge too, so he was really good. And that he was also commissioned by Trades Commissioner Canada, so that plays a really big part in not having to pay that dude that much money. And I don't know what he gets, but that's less expense for us. So.
Thanks for sharing.
One more question.
Teresa, on behalf of the First Nation and myself, I'm really honored that you invited me. I thought I'd have a relaxing evening, and then I get this text that says, hey, that's tonight. But, I'm very proud of you. And on behalf of the First Nation, we're all proud of you. I'd like to see you come into the community and talk to some of our young people,
Yeah,
or even the older adults on how to start a business.
yeah.
Teresa's my sister-in-law. Well, down the road, but she's still my sister-in-law, and she makes the best Bannock ever. I know she's gonna be at an event I go, and I just don't get one, I get 10 pieces. Because if I get one, I might as well be prepared to give it away to one of the grandkids.
Yeah. I did an event at Qualendon already, so that was nice to do.
Really quickly too, I just want to let you know that 3 people out of that workshop applied to our boot camp.
That's what?
When you came and spoke at the workshop,
Yeah.
so 3 people applied to the boot camp.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you're already doing it.
Great inspiration to others coming down the road, wanting to go to a journey like yours. And I think it's very inspiring.
Yeah. Well, it's my hopes to move back to Whitehorse. I want to get a restaurant here. I need a restaurant so I can hire people too, and start doing that. So
Just amazing. So thank you so much. What a wonderful way to wrap it up. I do have a few words, but first of all, round of applause for everyone for coming, for Teresa for sharing your story. Fantastic.
yeah, thank you everybody for coming to. Thank you to Lance and Nishka for all the video work you guys did.
Yes, thank you. So I do want to say also thank you to people on our own team. I know this is a brainchild of Victoria. So thank you so much for putting these videos together and being the spearhead of this. I know you hate attention, so it's okay. I'll move over to Rick. Thank you, Rick, for being our tech guy, for helping us stay connected throughout, and for Lana, of course, for being the supporter and the champion of us all. That said, if you enjoyed this event, you enjoyed hearing the story of Teresa, we have more events coming up as well that are showcasing the fantastic work of entrepreneurs around. So we have Scott from Disco Velo. His will premiere August 26th, and we're going to be having an event on the 9th of September. So all this stuff will be online, but just so you know, keep it in the back of your mind. And then we have Orem Skincare. So that will be September 16th, and the event will be October 7th. And Teresa, you mentioned boot camps being so important. We actually have 2 boot camps running right now, so I'd love to promote it as much as I can.
Yeah.
The applications close August 24th. The first one, Local Leaders, is the one we run pretty frequently, bringing in local leaders to speak to build up more leaders in the community. So whatever business you're working on, it is the one for you. And then we have another one in partnership with Yukon First Nation Culture Tourism. And that is the Strengthening Indigenous Tourism Business Bootcamp. Whole lot of words in one, but we don't like acronyms here, so I'm trying the whole word. That one is focused for people who identify as First Nation, Indigenous, First Nation, Inuit, or Métis. And it will be focused on tourism businesses, people who want to showcase the Yukon to people. So yeah, if you are interested, you can come see me after, and we can talk about the next steps. Awesome. Thanks again, Teresa.
Yeah, it's gonna change. Thank you, everybody.